Welcome back. Today we're going to look at an interesting psychological phenomenon that has everything to do with how the brain is wired in the way that we seek out meaning. To get started, let's look at a study that was done in 1944. Two psychologists brought people in and had them watch a video. It was a short video, and after the video, all they asked them is, "What's happening here?" Let's take a look at that short video, and I want you to ask yourselves that same question. What's happening here? Okay, so what happened in that video? If you had to explain it to somebody else, what would you say was taking place in the video? And just think about it for a little bit. Think about one thing you would tell another thing about the shapes or about the video itself. Did you create a story? Did you say that things were happening, that some of the shapes were feeling emotions, or that there was anger, or that there was a chase, or that there was someone trapped in an environment or a house? Would you use the word door in your explanation? If any of those things are true, you're not alone. And let's figure out what that means. When people were responding to the video in this study, 34 out of the 35 participants said that these shapes were characters. Only one of them said they were shapes. Some of the common themes were that the big triangle and the little triangle were in a fight, that the rectangle was somehow a house, that there was a chase that occurred, and that the house had a door that the shapes could control, but the door wasn't controlling the shapes. You may think, well, that's obvious. That's exactly what happened in the video, but that's not necessarily true. What was happening was triangles and circles were moving around a background. There was a rectangle that had an opening in it, and that opening would move. It was the people that gave meaning to all of those things. So what the psychologist concluded was that people seem to almost spontaneously or automatically turn things into stories or turn events into stories, that people have a natural tendency to ascribe emotions and values and feelings and causes to the things that happen around us, even if those things don't have any apparent reasons, and that we create meaning even when perhaps nothing exists. Like nothing in that video was feeling anything. They were moving, but we may have gave them feelings based on the movements. So this can be magical. So this is from 1940, which was 4 years before the study that's referenced in here. And animations give us this way of escaping and ascribing emotions to things. So we have a happy mouse directing a animate broom that is carrying buckets, and that mouse isn't feeling anything. And in fact, it's not even a mouse. It's just a drawing of a cartoon mouse in a way that emphasizes emotions. And that broom isn't doing anything. In fact, it's not even a broom. But because people are so good at this, that's why animation can exist, is we're willing to create these stories along with this, and great animators can make us create those stories. And so this is all things that were happening around the same time as when animation was improving. These people were studying this idea. So the question for today that I want you to think about is, what does this psychological experiment from 1944 have in common with a novel by Camus from 1942? What connections can you make between this study and the philosophy that's being expressed or the ideas that are being explored by Camus in The Stranger? If you need a little bit more context, think about what else was happening around this time. World War II was in full swing and wasn't quite over. And after the war, there were some big philosophical questions that were happening, whether they were from Americans, or Holocaust survivors, or people from all over the world. We're talking about this idea of meaning in general. So it seemed to be a bigger need around that time than it had been previously. So as you think about these two ideas, the video and the novel, what connections and conclusions can you come to? This is not an easy question, but I think it's a fun question. And it deals with ideas that go deeply into what it means to be human and what it means to be a part of a universe where things are happening all around us at all times. Go back to our conversation about truth, go to the ideas about logical fallacies, and then anything from what we've read so far in the novel. I'm really looking forward to reading your responses, and I will see you next time.